Hi folks, just a quick view of my campsite. Um, the restroom is there, they're repainting it, and restroom shower, and there's a laundry facility there. Um, I follow that road down and then back up around, and the exit's just right over yonder. And I get on the highway there. Um, I go about a city block, and then I turn at a stoplight. I turn left, and there's a half a mile or so, I guess. And then there's another stoplight, and I make another left, and I guess maybe a mile up the road is the entrance to Silver Dollar City. So I'm very close. I can get there. I can start my truck and be there in about 10 minutes. I've got my jewelry trailer parked right here, and that lets me. I've got an awning. You've probably seen these before. People put them on the side of their trucks and camper trailers, but I've got one on my jewelry trailer, and that lets me have a shelter in here because I also added a tarp, and you can see that's a Kelty 12-foot tarp or something. Oh, I've got the picnic table under there, and that gives me some fairly weatherproof storage for stuff that I'm not worried about getting wet. But I've got a new toy. Today I don't start work until tomorrow, so today was a day off. But check this out. This is a small Weber charcoal starter, and here's my new toy. it's a 9-inch cast iron wok, little bitty wok. They had one that was even smaller. They had one the size of a cereal bowl, and I'm thinking, that's not going to be useful for anything. But this was like a third off at the store. And it's flat on the bottom, which, being flat on the bottom means you can put it on any stove. You don't have to have a fixture or anything. But it also happens to fit perfectly. That flat plot fits perfectly down in that little Weber charcoal starter. And this particular charcoal starter, I bought it at Walmart on sale for $8. It was clearance. Most people, if you're gonna get one of these, get a big one. Don't get the little one, unless you happen to have a Smoky Joe Weber kettle, because this is the perfect size for the little bitty charcoal kettle. Which I do everything. I try to do everything small because it fits in the truck better. You're usually just cooking for myself anyway. But that little wok fits that small size Weber thing, and I'm sitting back in my chair. I put out a lawn chair whenever I'm going to be around for quite a while. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, they're already seasoned, but I washed it, the wok, and then I put about a quarter of a stick of butter in there, and I've got some Asian style salad mix. It's a package in my refrigerator, and I took out a handful of the greens, and I didn't get any sauce or anything like that. Well, of course, it's not sauced yet, but I took a handful of that stuff out and put it in the wok in that butter and cooked that down until it started to smell kind of burnt. It was getting very close to burning, and it was starting to get black, and that was perfect. That was sacrificial anyway. And potato skins work well. You cook if you got some old. If you're cooking potatoes and you peel potatoes, just save the skins and use that to season a new piece of cooking metal. Whether it's flat steel or cast iron, anything that needs to be seasoned. Potato skins work good, but so did that greenery or whatever it was, cattle food. Uh, but I did that, and I got rid of all that, wiped the wok out, and then I added one of these horseshoe sausages sliced up, and it was venison and burnt ends or something. I forget. It was really unusual. And I cooked that in another quarter stick of butter. And I cooked it until it was, the pieces had all of the fat rendered out of them for the most part. And there wasn't any fat. I tasted a few. They were actually pretty good. And I put them in a baggie, and I'm going to have them with my breakfast. But they weren't sacrificial. They were my first cooking. And I've got to let everything cool down now. But it did both of those long cooks on one fill of that little charcoal starter. So I'm just pleased as anything with it. I like cooking, and I love cast iron. And I gave my son-in-law almost all of my cast iron. I only kept a couple of pieces, and he was suddenly in possession of a fairly large collection of cast iron. But I've been rebuilding my collection in a very small scale, getting little stuff like that 9-inch. That would only be good. The 9-inch wok is, if you're doing a traditional stir fry, 2 people at the outside. It's more of a single serving. But anyway, I'm not sure where I'm at. I don't know if this is Branson or West Branson or something in the middle. Silver Dollar City was annexed by West Branson recently, and the reason I know that is because the organizer sent out a note saying, hey, this happened, and so you've got to get a business license for West Branson. And I did. I don't have to pay taxes. It costs $50, and this year, since it's a new thing, they're going to pay it for me. I don't expect that next year. But anyway, I've got my booth set up. I made a video about that. Tomorrow I go to orientation at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they say the park opens at 9:30. Okay, yeah, the park opens at 9:30, but historically they've let people, the ticket office opens at like 8:30, and so they let people into the square to mill about and shop. Well, mainly so they can go into the gift shop, I think. But anyway, they come out and they can see the craftspeople, so that'll work out all right. I've got an extra weekend. My contract says Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then usually Tuesday and Wednesday are off days. And then I start my regular contract. And the show properly starts, I think, on the 12th of the month and runs through the 26th of October. I'm trying to keep track of where I'm supposed to be. Anyway, this is my campsite and my new toy.